Teamster Power 767 Reality Check with Jeff Schenfeld and Garfield Hooper.
All right. How's everyone doing today?
Doing good.
Wonderful.
Good. So today, a very special guest, Michael Moxley, president of Teamsters Local 29. And there's some things we're going to talk about. This in particular is going to be about panel reform or panel transforming the panel into something else. Recently, Michael had a little situation, and he's going to go into it in a little bit more depth. Let's get right into it. What do you got?
I brought to the panel, a grievance that should have made waves. It was the strongest contract grievance that I put together. I had the facts, I had the evidence, I had the people, but what it didn't have was the political backing, and that made all the difference.
Yeah.
This grievance was solid. I had the contractors who were physically moving the freight. I had the bill of lading. I had the individual who orchestrated the moves, who works for UPS, and spoke directly to the company. And when I say spoke directly to the company, I actually drove to the company and asked them why they were moving this freight in this fashion. And I was told directly by them. They said, "Look, the only thing we did was we asked UPS to get the freight there faster. That was it." And so the question is even in panel, I asked this. I was like, so who moved the freight, right? Contractors is the ones who were moving it, but not UPS employees and not union labor. I brought all this to the panel and I laid it out clean. From the beginning to the end, the story was airtight. The only thing I didn't have was the canceled check, which was asked of me by one of my union panel representatives sitting up there on the chair.
One of the co-chairs.
So I didn't even understand that. They asked me for the canceled check like it was the Holy Grail. I half expected Indiana Jones to swing in and start digging through my folder. So, meanwhile, the union was actually giving softball questions to the company. And literally, it felt like I just walked into a T-ball game. Asking them if, do you feel uncomfortable? Was everything explained to you clearly? That kind of thing. Then they saw me and switched to fast pitch. At this point, I'm convinced the panel doesn't need evidence. They need endorsements. This wasn't about the grievance. This was about shutting me down. And I believe it was because I'm running on the other slate. I didn't come with speculation. I came with facts. But facts don't matter when the game is rigged. I thought it was a grievance panel. Turns out I was auditioning for Survivor Union Edition. And spoiler alert, I didn't get a rose. When the union politics get in the way of justice, it's not just the officers who suffer. It's the members. It's the drivers. It's the workers who count on the union to protect them.
Yep.
When the panel plays favorites, they're not just silencing voices. They're risking livelihoods.
Listen, Mike, that's part of the problem. That's stuff like that's been going on for years. And it shouldn't be going on because just because you may not like someone or they're running on a different slate or politically they're not aligned with you. If you go after your own people, like you said, our own side suffers. I don't get it. In the canceled check, this shouldn't even have made it to the panel. It shouldn't even have made it to the panel. Who cares what the check is? A UPS employee, did not do the job. Right? It was a contractor. Who cares what it was? That's not our problem.
It was
wasn't
a contractor,
a bargaining unit.
And it was coordinated by the company.
Yeah,
God Almighty, admitting it, right? I mean, it's just it's crazy, and this is part of the problem. I mean, it's in the South, we when I was a BA, we went to the SRA PGC. I mean, there were some good people, some bad people, but you kind of know when it's more than just reading your brief, and it's more than something. It's bigger than that, right? And it shouldn't be, and that's one of the reasons why there needs to be a transformation. Used to think reform, panel reform. It's got to be, panel transforming into something else because it's not working. It's not, and that's obviously a political thing, but they're not changing decisions. Like they have the same decisions from years ago, but times have changed, right? I mean, the company's not the same. Everything's not the same. Like, in your 30-day packet, the company can basically do what they want. And they've been winning those at a basically 100% rate. And the problem here is we took a case down there that was a rental truck. They couldn't even find the young lady's packet, everything, and they still lost it. How is that the case? They're just going along one line. That's it. Company could do what they want. Well, why don't we change the language? Well, guess what? I spoke to president of my local while they're doing negotiations, and I brought that up, but I guess it didn't. No one wanted to listen to that.
Because they didn't come up with it.
Exactly. No, that's exactly it. And, it's just a shame. And then, not to get into too many specifics, but the settlement was something that's not normal, right?
Oh, yeah, especially when they threaten Article 48. Everybody's from UPS who listens to
Yeah.
your show should understand what that means.
Yeah.
They basically threaten me that if I try to appeal this or if I go against a decision, that they'll take away my rights in a sense of trying to get me fired through UPS so that I don't hold a craft, So to me, it's a joke. I got thick skin, got big shoulders, and it doesn't bother me when I go in there. And literally, this one guy, we'll call him Toad.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, and like literally when we walked out, right? And I'm trying to learn and listen and find out what everybody's talking about and how they're saying things and what they're arguing about and what they're discussing. So, I'm paying attention. So your eyes are going to be looking at people when they speak. And then all of a sudden, this Toad looks over at me, I guess because we're locking eyes, and he's like, do you have a problem? And of course, I got my smart assness to me. So I kind of went like, hey, man, so what'd you say? And I kind of put my ear down towards the ground a little bit more. And he was like, do you have a problem? And I said, oh, no, not me. But I said, do you want one? And then, and then he just looked up at everybody else. And I'm like, look, dude, if you're going to sit here and act like Mr. BA, don't invite me to a good time is what I'm trying to say. I don't back away. I don't take intimidation. I don't like bullies. Never have. And that's the reason why I ran for a position in my local is because if the member had a good grievance and it was against UPS, they would try to bully that person down to basically either pull his grievance or take a lesser settlement. And I got tired of it because I never back down. I've been fired.
Good.
And my firing actually came from a supervisor who put their hands on me, but they fired me.
Oh.
Yeah, and I had to actually take him to court and won in court, and that's how I got my job back. So
it shouldn't even have gone to that. But would you say? Let me see if I'm going to use the right word here. Would you say that you're fearless?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely fearless.
Exactly.
I wasn't trying to play on it, but I did kind of put that in there a little bit.
That's okay. And I say this all the time. We expect the companies to do this, right? That's expected. But when your own side does that's no.
But they're scared.
It's beyond.
I mean, honestly, I'll say it. They're scared. They're scared to lose their positions. They like the positions that they're in. They like the money that they're receiving, and they don't really have to do anything. They don't really have to fight anything. They're the ones. These people, the same three people, pretty much stay up on that panel the whole time. It never gets changed. Nobody else goes up there, and there's some other stuff. Allegedly, I'll say it like that. For the legal side of things. That the person that chairs it, he got that being appointed. In the old ways, it used to be that you're supposed to get voted, right? Well, apparently, that was a big problem amongst everyone in this panel. I won't say where it's at, but the person that chairs it, one, is hardly ever up there, and two, it's always the same three that do it. And if they have an issue with you or a problem with you, you're going to lose your grievance no matter what. So to me, it's like what I've learned from panel, don't take anything to panel. Because if I do, I'm going to lose it. Because it's a political game. They don't give a crap about members. They are more worried about hurting me.
Well, and
Yeah.
I see your point about not wanting to take things up there if it's going to continue to be a problem. If the people in these positions can't get out of their own way, can't get out of like wanting to stay in power, like nobody would have a problem with you if you did the job the right way. You wouldn't have a problem staying in power if you were there fighting for the members, doing the right job. But that would require you to actually do something. Heaven forbid. But I've had quite a few people come to me as like, hey, why are you fighting this much? You're just going to end up getting yourself in trouble. The union's not going to support you. You're outspoken. You don't care. And I was like, look, if they don't want to support me, that's fine. It'll come out. I'm not going to be shy about it. I'll tell everybody exactly what happened, when it happened, and how it happened. Every little detail. If I've got what was it? It was the other day somebody. I was in a meeting with somebody and they were arguing about this whole thing where you got to clock out to drive to lunch. Kind of bullshit for drivers. I don't do that. It'll be a cold day in hell for I drive a package car off the clock. I was like, I will let an arbitrator decide my fate before I do it voluntarily. So I was like, You want to fire me for it? I have never been dishonest about it. I've told everybody exactly what I do. I deliver a country route. I drive about 4 miles one way to go sit down and eat for lunch, and I will not clock out for it. You want to fire me for it? Walk me out right now. I've made my bed. I will happily lie in it. Yep. I said, and if the company doesn't want to, or if the company wants to fire me, fine. If the union doesn't want to have my back on it, fine. I've been fighting by myself for years. I'll do it. I'll do it some more. But I am not going to sacrifice what I think is right because somebody disagrees with me, because I might piss somebody off. No.
It's about principles, right?
It's about principles.
It's always, core principles, got to have them. And, it's crazy that they do this. Maybe they should rotate the people who the chairs at the panel. Maybe rotate them, do something like that. It's not the same people.
Or maybe they get
complacent. Yeah, or be elected. That's exactly it. And
possibly, they could be elected. Because once again, y'all are more familiar with how these panels and stuff work. Like these guys, they do the panels for an individual region, correct? That's how that works.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah. They're in the southern region, but you can't if it's your building, you can't sit on that case. It's got to be for another part of the southern region. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
My question is like, why not just elect them, and if they start to do shit like this and it starts to come out, have a way to impeach them, for lack of a better term, and get somebody else in there.
Well, that's
Absolutely.
It's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Honestly, from what I understand from where I'm from, because of how it happened, it literally took 3 years. Everyone now is just starting to get over it.
Yeah.
And the only reason why he was appointed to this position, it was just a political move by the people in power as of right now. Yeah. And the biggest problem is, and I get tired of hearing about it. Everyone's scared that Sean O'Brien's going to do this or he's going to do that. I mean, literally, as long as you're doing your job correctly, there's nothing that he can do to you. As long as you follow your own bylaws, you follow the Constitution, and you fight for your members, you ain't got nothing to be scared of. So to me, the only thing that people are scared of is that they're scared to have their position taken away.
Yep.
That's it. And if you do your job correctly, just as you said, Garfield, you do your job correctly, you won't have to worry about it. I got somebody running after me in the next 2.5 years. Everybody keeps asking me, are you worried about that? No, because I know that the fruits of my labor will come out to show that I am doing one hell of a job. And if the members still want somebody else in there, that's the members' right.
That's their decision.
And it's not mine.
Absolutely.
I wanted to
Yeah,
I
that's
want
the way
to
it should be.
read this decision, like the last bit of this decision that you got, just to put out like why we feel like it's so unusual to read this last bit. So I'm going to read this real quick. The undersigned also agree that failure to comply with the decision of a majority of the committee within 10 days of the date of the decision will result in the loss of all contract rights, privileges, and benefits due them under Article 48 of the Atlantic Area Parcel Agreement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's just not normal.
That's, once again, I'm not, like, I've never been a BA, I'm not a panelist, but when I read that it to me says that they are threatening the seniority of you and possibly the grievant.
Possibly.
Yeah. So if you don't agree with what this committee says, you lose seniority. And anybody who doesn't know, when the phrase losing seniority in UPS language means you're fired.
Fired. Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense, because most decisions, like, you'll get them based on the facts presented. The company's point is, sustained or it's denied. That's it. Unless there's something specific where they got to, word it a certain way, but nothing beyond. You know what I'm saying? Just to reword it, just so there's a little more than just based on the facts, but nothing where it's like, oh, you can't do this and you're going to be arrested and, you lose your seniority. And, like, I don't understand that. That's just ridiculous. That's not the norm. And it looks bad. So let's screw our members, right? Let's just screw our members, because I don't want you being in office and I'm going to screw you. No, you're going to screw the members. And this is the way they do it.
That's what I keep screaming to everyone. It's like, whenever they make decisions like this, whenever they do things just because if they don't like somebody who's in office or they don't agree with whoever's in office, they think by, not giving me help or not, hearing a grievance with the merits that it has, and then making a decision upon the actual facts and the merits of the case. But because they don't like somebody, it's not the business agent that they're actually hurting. It pisses me off. I'm not gonna lie. But it doesn't hurt me in a sense. It just shows me that, if I bring something here because these guys don't like me, they're just gonna shut it down every time. But what happens is it hurts the members, and these idiots, they really think that that is going to be the way that's going to, turn the member against the business agent. But what I do is I had the grievant there. So he got to see everything and how they were asking questions and what they did. And the first thing he said, he goes, dude, this shit's rigged. And I was like, yeah, I brought you here specifically just to show you, so that because now you can go and you can tell other people of how this is being played out. And the problem is that it's making them look bad. So, I mean, honestly, in my aspect, for what I'm doing here in the near future, I keep telling just keep doing it. Keep doing it, because all it's going to do is it's going to show members that you guys are only for yourselves.
Yeah.
You're literally worried about your own pocket.
And in the year 2025, there's way too many ways to get that information out there and to prove that it's happening for people. My only concern is like, I hope people listen. I hope people don't ignore it and realize that, what we're trying to do is change the union to where people are not working to keep their cushy jobs. They're doing it because they're passionate about the labor movement. They're doing it because they're passionate about workers' rights and holding companies that we have contracts with accountable to those contracts. And then hopefully in the future, getting better contracts.
Right. Exactly. Historic what? Chin strap who? So, but, the thing is, and again, the fact that myself, Michael, and, the rest of the, Fearless Slate, we're doing this because we have to.
It's the right thing.
I keep hearing them say, "Oh, with experience, what experience is that experience that's in there now? what has that done for us? It's screwed a lot of people, and we got a lot of people on our slate who have experience too. So I don't even understand that.
And this is
You know?
the hard way. Like, the easy way would be to ignore it. Like, it's easy for everybody just to ignore it. Oh, I'll just become compliant. You know, I'll do what they say. I'll do what they ask, and you know, hopefully in the future they'll make decisions my way. No, that's the easy way. That's the easy way out. And you know, we're not about that. Like, this is not what this is. Like, if we see something wrong, we want it changed. We're gonna bring it about. We're gonna talk about it. And if people don't listen, then that's their decision. But we at least tried our best to get out there and put the union on notice that there are people that aren't pleased and that the things need to change.
I mean, listen, we have to prepare the next generation, right? We got to fix what we have now. We got to prepare the next generation. I don't see it. There's not training for stewards. The stewards aren't prepared. You know, that's not their fault, you know? But again, what is they take the mentality of the people at the local who just want their friends in, and they start doing that, and they start doing safety on the, you know, instead of their job and things like that. And that's baloney. That means you want the same thing. You want to just keep your stewardship, or the BAs just want to be BAs and not have to go back on the truck. I mean, just do the right thing. You don't have to play these games, right?
Yeah.
The show wouldn't have to be put on. You know, I think it's simple. I think just take care of the members, right? And, you know, the power has to go back to the members, right? Unions started from the bottom up, and that's the way it has to be. But the top, you know, they want this, they want that, they want to be able to do what they want. They don't trust the members, so they give as little information as possible because they think they can't handle it, you know, all that stuff. But what we're trying to say is, be fearless, right? Do what you have to do. Always, you know, stand up to bullies, because we all agree on this call, on this Zoom call. Bullies, no, hell no, hell no. We've said it before on the podcast. Hell no.
I mean, standing up to bullies is basically what Teamsters have been doing for 100 years. So
yeah,
and when it comes down to it, if you take care of the members will take care of you.
Oh yeah, totally agree with that. I mean, you're not gonna make everybody happy.
No.
Don't even try. Just do your job, and whatever, you know.
Yeah.
People just inherently aren't going to be happy with everything, but for the most part, you'll know if the members are happy, right?
Yeah.
Like, you'll know if you're doing your job, they're happy, you're answering questions, and that's it. Instead of, you know, just putting on the show, the smoke and mirrors, right?
Well, the main problem is that most of these young people don't even understand what a real union is about, and most of them have lost actually what a real union is about. The union is not there to basically get your ass out of a sling every single solitary time.
No.
We're there to basically, you know, put a contract together. We're there to make sure that contract is upheld, and we're there to make sure that they're not breaking laws and they're not breaking the contract. And, you know, with harassment or, you know, seniority rights, or with vacation coverage, overtime, because companies will always try to help themselves in a sense to where their company makes money. And I get that point, because we all have to be in line with each other. The company's got to be in line with the union. The union's got to be in line with the company. Because if the company don't make money, then there ain't no union.
Yeah.
You know. And the main thing is that, you know, like you said, there is no training. I mean, there is some from the IBT, but it's not like how I actually try to train. I try to train my shop stewards in a sense. We try to hold meetings. We've done a Zoom call in the past. We try to do, basically talk about what each individual shop steward actually has an issue with or a problem with, and somebody might actually have something better to fight the grievance in a way that can help win. Because labor people, and I'm not talking about all of them, some of them are probably okay. I hate management anyway, so it's kind of hard for me to talk really good about them. But, you know, I'm sure there's some labor people out there that actually do the right thing in the sense of contractually making sure that everything's contractual. But then you have those ones that they try to, you know, get over on the grievance, and, you know, they settle things out for like pennies on the dollar. You know, that's also what your union's there for, is to make sure that this isn't happening. You know, I think there should be more training on what the actual union is about, and getting these younger younger people more involved and explaining to them what it's actually about. And I don't see a lot of that. And what I hear too that upsets me is here in Virginia, they always go, "Oh, it's a right to work state." That doesn't mean nothing. The power is in numbers. And if people start standing up and stating, "Hey, look, we're not going to deal with this crap anymore," they're going to start paying attention. Not just the union themselves. The actual government themselves will start paying attention. Why? Because they're scared. They want to be able to get themselves back into the office so that they don't have to work as hard. Pay attention to the whole. What was the latest one? Was the Cracker Barrel sign? I mean, good Lord,
yeah.
People got upset about them, changing the logo. Well, look how quickly they changed it back because of public opinion. And it's like I try to tell people all the time, you want cheaper gas? Start buying it. Everybody needs to start buying it directly from one gas company. BP, just pick it for like a whole month. Watch gas prices start going way down because no one's buying it from Exxon or anyone else that's doing it. The problem is that the American people have lost their way. They need to understand that they actually have the power. And I think it's been lost, and we need to gain it back.
Yep.
And honestly, I think it's easier to gain it back in the union side because how many members we got? 1.3 million, 1.4 million.
Something like that.
I think it'd be easier to explain it to them instead of 330. What do we got? 330 billion people in the United States?
No, million, 330
We're not China. Yeah, we're not China.
There's only 8 billion people on the planet. 330 billion would probably be a little bit much.
But imagine that they're all in the United States. We got everyone. But yeah, and it's the members. And here's the thing: whether it's locally, nationally, they feel like that the union doesn't have their back, and that's the biggest thing we get when we go to different places. You see they're gun shy. They're afraid, and they shouldn't be that way. The union should always have their back. That's why the Teamsters were started, and it's like they lost their way. I mean, I don't understand. It's more important to put on a show or to have a chili cook-off, and it seems more important than actual taking care of members. So I just, a lot of things have to change, but today we wanted to talk about the panel and the way things are. Things get political, and that's something that definitely needs to change. So but I'm glad Michael, that you were on, that you were able to bring 100%. Us that case and let us know what happened. And I think a lot of people will be like, oh, well, that's expected. Other people will be like, huh? That goes on? That's crazy, Maybe it brings awareness to like, what are we doing to ourselves, right? What are we doing to each other? So glad we talked about this. So for myself, Garfield, Michael Moxley, everyone have a good day.
All right, brother.
We all deal with national language, but on this podcast, when it comes to supplemental language, we deal mostly with the southern region. And as always, it's best to get advice from your local stewards or business agents. If you would like to reach out to us with any questions, we have an email address, 767realitycheck@gmail.com. That's 767realitycheck@gmail.com.
And remember, strong people stand up for themselves, but the strongest people stand up for others.